But after hours of rowing, I realized that the current is going against me. It seems to me that everything is further away. I move further away from the land and especially from our boat. And Will can't hear me. Damn it, it's already very dark for her. And somewhere around 11 or 12 at night, Will. This time we briefly visited the city of Valdez. Only 4,000 people live here. And although many are engaged in fishing, but most people are here because of the oil. There is an oil refinery here, because Valdez is the southern end. Trans-Alaskan Oil Pipeline, which crosses all of Alaska from north to south. So we made a short stop in the city of Valdez, bought groceries, and now we'll fill up with water and fill up with petrol on the way. And we are ready for our new journey. And our next big stop will be the city of Cordova. But they promised a storm the other day, that's why I'm sure that we will spend a couple of days in some bay, and only then, let's move to this city. Oh, and the flood is half-hearted, haha. Cordova is a small city though. But it has a very rich history. It was because of her that I always wanted to go there. There are no roads leading to it. It can only be reached by air or water. That evening we stayed in a bay about 150 kilometers away from Valdez. The weather in Alaska is unpredictable, so let's wait until the morning and see what our plan will be. Something very terrible happened that evening. I thought for a long time whether to include this film or not. In the end I decided to share this situation as a reminder to us all how important it is. Calculate every step. When you are alone with nature, whether you are on a hike or on a boat, or wherever, it doesn't matter. My mom always worries about me and asks me to call her. When we have no connection, then our boat is somewhere there. And I have to hang out on the skiff and look for where the internet works to call my mom. But at least it's beautiful in the evenings. Oh Lala. Well, that's awesome. I ran out of gas. I didn't call my mom on the boat. So now too, I spend a lot of time washing. Phew. Our boat is somewhere there behind that monster. I guess you can't see me. But after hours of scallops, I realized that the current was going against me. I think everything will continue further. I move further away from the land and especially from our boat. and Will can't hear me. Shorts already. It's very dark and somewhere around 11 or 12 at night. Will. It's very nice here. My mom has already called 4 times. And what do I need a phone for? Pick up the phone and say, "Oh mom, you know. I'm here in the open sea. I'm trying. Save yourself." Damn. Thought. In short, the trick is that, in my opinion, the fork hasn't woken up yet that I am not there and I am trying to cross all my forces until I get carried away somewhere completely. And I try to at least remain visible. Our boat. Although it is so dark that it is almost impossible to see. Oh, I love you. Okay, see you later. Holy shit, it's almost 2 now. I spent 2 nights screaming at the villa. He started shooting. These lights are red, just so I could see where this boat is. And then it became even louder, shout, and he in short just heard me. And I hope that here he is now. We'll sail here, how will he get this anchor? This and that. Well, and adventures in general. My rescuer is on his way there. So you watched the fragment called Call to Mom. As a result, I made 2 very serious mistakes. I didn't take the radio, and I didn't check the spare gas. We always had him on the boat. Except that day, because when we were leaving Alda's and decided that we won't use the boat. And therefore everything unnecessary was removed from it. On the other side, I'm still surprised that I didn't panic. Because for example, if I stopped rowing, then I would immediately be carried away into the ocean. My chances of survival would be just 0. If by some miracle I were washed ashore, then hello to the bears too, the chances are reduced to 0. But what can I say? In any case, the lesson is learned for life. That morning, after we somehow came to our senses from what had happened, we weighed the pros and cons and decided to go to Cordoba, hoping to make it before the storm. Hey. And we sailed from there where the weather is fine and are sailing there. Where is the terrible weather? As they promised, a storm is coming. We made it right to the point. After our arrival, wind gusts began to reach 70 knots. It's about 130 kilometers per hour. And at night, when by some miracle a fishing boat arrived, the guys said that outside the port the wind reaches 180 kilometers per hour. This was definitely our strongest storm. And our poor little boat, it won't be closed anytime soon. The next morning, the sky was clear and it seemed, it's as if this whole storm was a dream. Simply incredible. If we want to know more about the history of this city, then we have to go straight to the museum. The fort can't stand them. But I love it. Right here, we were advised to meet with a local artist who has an exciting life behind her, carrying the legacy of many generations. Grew up in these surroundings. Beat it. I am Sylvie Lang, born and raised in Cordova, Alaska. I am a representative of the Tlingit and Sugpiaq tribal peoples. One, my grandmother was from the Saliud Islands, and the other one is from Yakut, further along the coast, in the Tlingit district. I grew up entirely on a fishing boat, and then I started doing exactly that myself when I grew up, since adolescence, all through my 20s and 30s. I was the captain of my own fishing boat. And in general, my whole life I worked only for myself. My husband and I have a hotel, barn and restaurant, and also a fishing tender. And we also ran a canning factory. In the last 40 years we have been engaged in different types of activities. I thought I could give it up. After all, it was all just for money. But in reality, I want to be an artist and consider myself a real artist. This is my ship. He needs a lot of work. But I kept all the portholes and other historical things. The museum is very interested in him, although for a long time it was a decoration of my lawn. I had a garden in it. And here at the back there is preparation for winter. Sylvia kept a modest silence about her unique achievement. After all, she became the first female captain in the world fishing in Alaska. Besides that, she is also a mother of 3 children, and now these children are one more successful than the other. Listening to her stories, you can't help but understand what is Sylvia's life, including its origin, going back centuries, becomes not just a separate life story, and a kind of chronicle of all of Alaska. Russians were the first Europeans reached the shores of Alaska in 1732. At that time gold had not yet been discovered, but the main magnet was the fur. And most importantly otter fur, in which there were a lot of corduroy banks. That's why this city became a Russian village for many years. There the Russians met with a local tribe band, who were excellent at catching salmon. That's why the Russians started trading with the locals. And also little by little they sent out missionaries. In 1867 Russia sold Alaska to the United States. Right after that, copper was discovered in the nearby Connecticut mine, which changed the picture dramatically. A 250 kilometers railway was built between Quinnipiac and Cordova. She passed through the mountains, crossed rivers, and passed through numerous tunnels and bridges. At the same time, the first canning factories began to open in the city, thanks to the huge stock of salmon. Almost instantly, a small town transformed into a city with schools, hospitals, quarters, restaurants, and other things. However, already in 1938, the price of copper fell sharply and the ground disappeared from under our feet. So be it, and many canning factories have also closed. Sylvia, by the way, actually lives in a cannery, which was closed many years ago, and she transformed it into a cozy home. In General Kenny, the cat turned into a ghost town, and the card returned to its sleepy status, waking up only in the summer for commercial fishing. In Space Inc. Inspiration comes from traditional sources, such as the creation of totem poles, shape patterns, weaving and carving of the Lingites, or just the fact that I grew up with fish directly involved in its processing and preparing food for the winter, including birds, fish, deer, and elk. So inspiration drawn from our daily life and, I think, from the society we live in. I use grids where vegetables are supplied, and they look like salmon scales. Some even thought that I draw each salmon scale separately, but in reality it is not so. It's strange, but I don't draw many landscapes. But I live in the most beautiful place, full of picturesque landscapes. But apparently, I like items with living hearts better. I like birds, fish, animals, and sometimes I put them in the landscape or in their natural environment. But mostly I just like their movement. For example, right outside the window in my studio, crows often gather. And people always say that they see deep character in my birds. And with the exception of 1, 2, they are always female and always gossip. This horizontal picture is called the City Council. There are crows depicted on it, talking to each other. They're having a serious discussion. In winter in that bay, 30 come there, and sometimes even hundreds of seaweeds. And they settle down there for the winter, sometimes getting out onto the shore. They always make sounds similar to the cry of a baby. The first time I heard this, I even got scared. They look quite fierce sometimes. That day, Sylvia told us a lot of stories about the city and how hard it was to grow up as a native after cloning, and when the price of copper collapsed and all the factories closed. But her parents, no, she never lost hope and moved forward. Yes, probably. I kind of take it for granted, without realizing, because storytelling, this is without a doubt part of my heritage. But also that what I create is also a kind of story. Yes, I think that art is just another form of communication. We came to this city with the aim of learning its history. But the story of Sylvia's life turned out to be even more amazing. She definitely became an inspiring example for me. What if you don't set limits for yourself? Then you can achieve absolutely everything. By the way, her very first painting hangs in the White House. Isn't this another example of that? You can do anything. All these. I don't know prejudices. That you can't do something, it's all in our heads. I think the main thing is to believe in yourself, dream big. And just go towards your dreams and they will definitely come true. As Sylvia said, life can be very difficult,